a minute before the official starting time. Hold on. I was just testing my camera. Okay, close enough. Everything's working. So today we're gonna be looking at item cloud, pop create item. First, let's start off with where we left off over the week. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of exciting changes. So first, I want to look at PopDoc. So PopDoc, let me give myself a virtual environment that works. Sure, pop create. So I upgraded PopTree. So if you do pip install upgrade PopTree into your environment, you now have access to a command called PopDoc. PopDoc does is you give it a reference on the hub, and it'll tell you everything about that reference. Let me open up. Sorry, I forgot to open up my cat windows. I can't see the stream.io. I can see the stream, and so I could say pop.loop.create. And there we go. I have the reference on the hub, the doc string, the contracts that are available to it, and the annotations for all the parameters. So that's PopDoc. I could use PopTree to see everything on the hub. And I fixed some of the logic for PopTree where things like the loop sub was loaded onto the hub in a different way from most other subs. So it wasn't showing up, but now all subs are showing up on the hub properly. And there's a bug, I probably need to fix it, where if I say PopDoc, I need to find virtual environment, item cloud, and I say PopDoc exec. Oh. Here's this one. It'll show me all exec modules that are at the top level. So this is a bug I need to work out, because if I always recurse when I'm loading the subdirs, then I end up with errors when I do something like PopDoc, pop loop create. But if I want to do exec AWS EC2, failure. Doesn't exist on the hub because it hasn't recursively loaded EC2. But if I do .instance, then that triggers all the conditions and it's okay. So I've still got a few bugs to work out in PopDoc, but if you give the full path to any function, it will work. It's just things in between, like getting the documentation for this sub is a little buggy right now. But you can use this to get if I want to do instance.create. Boom. There's my reference on the hub, my doc string, contracts that it uses, parameter annotations. Yeah, I'm glad that you like it, Derek. This is pretty exciting. That's the PopDoc in action. So there's zero formatting. It uses the rend project for formatting, so I could say output JSON. Anything that you can do with rend. The default is nested, but yeah. You can try out different versions of this. I can also, by virtue of the way I programmed it, I could say .dict, and it'll just return a raw, the raw attributes of that function, or .string, which anything apparently. Yeah, so that's how PopDoc works. My goal my initial goal was just to get functions. So I achieved my initial goal. Then I kind of went a little overboard, and I was like, well, why not give me everything? If I just pass exec, then tell me all exec modules available. But tree already does that. So I guess this isn't a bug, it's just more of a... And should I do the pop tree thing? Like, should I be spitting out all exec modules when you say pop doc exec, or should I just spit out the doc strings? That's also something I wanted to ask you about, Derek. Do we need all of this information, or by default, should we just be doing .rest, parse the doc string as if it's a REST document, or... Yeah. This is just a start. PopDoc works. You can pass it any reference on the hub, any full reference, any leaf node, and it will calculate it. So yeah, play with it, and if you want, I'm happy to accept any improvement. I'm happy to pass this over to you if you like. So that's one of the changes we made. I also got the heist tests a little closer to working, and Megan's taking that over now, so that's awesome. Heist is going really good places. I'm excited about Heist. Pop Create. We also got Pop Create working. I was thinking of the functionality of sys.list functions, for example. Let me look at that. Actually, let me look at that on stream. I was looking at it on my other computer. Its ability to document itself using Python docstrings is incredibly useful.
I don't know that one.
Oh, I really need to. Sys.list functions. I mean, like when you say instance, like I pass a reference on the hub, pop.doc exec AWS EC2 instance, and instance is a loaded mod. It has functions. I can see this loaded mod. I have this just by the way it works. It tells me it's reference on the hub, the doc string for the module, the file the module is located in, any global attributes of that module, and a list of all the functions and classes, but who's using classes in Poplane. So this is more information than sysdoc gives you, and we could certainly add a flag to say, just give me functions. It would just be as simple as grabbing this, grabbing a functions variable. Yeah, it would be really easy to add. The real question is, how do you want to add that? Would you expect it to be popdoc functions or list functions with the alternate of just being -L or -F? Yeah. So this is listing functions. It's just a little more information than anyone would need. Yeah, so we have functions, just not a handy list of just the functions. Whew. Yeah, but now that we have PopDoc, let's look at PopDoc real quick. Open PopTree. While I was playing video games, like my queue times were super long, and so it was actually like after hours that I was doing the PopDoc stuff. So PopDoc, its conf.py is over here in PopTree. It has its own conf.py, and all of the code, there's this script for running it. Because it's a one-off script, it's just It's a specific implementation of PopTree. And so it didn't need its own subsystem. It didn't need anything. I just needed to use PopTree the way that PopDoc uses it. So this is PopDoc. 40 lines of code, including a conf.py. So this is where we would extend it to do whatever else we want it to do. Yeah, this is the PopDoc source. These two functions. It's inside PopTree, the PopTree repo. And all of PopDoc is this 40 lines of code. Plus all of PopTree, which it consumes. Yes, thank you for sharing that link. Yeah, so if you want to add any more options to PopDoc, this is where we'll do it. And if you want to add any more logic to it, this is where it goes. Feel free to take it away, make this your own. Add more to it. That's all I wanted to show with PopDoc. Yeah, unless there's any further questions about it that I can answer on here. So pop create, what changed there? So previous versions of pop create weren't working if you installed pop create from PyPy. And the problem was with this manifest.in. In the previous versions of it, PyPy wasn't picking up. Okay, so there's a couple issues here, and I want to talk about them so that no one runs into the same issues ever again if they want to extend pop create. So over here in the discover packages of the setup.py, the discover packages function, because of this os.sep and this dot, it had issues with cookiecutter.rootdir. Just the discover packages had issues with a dot in a file name, and that's not something I could get around for a cookie cutter project. So I had to say ignore this directory when parsing the package. And that we had to do that anyway because there's all kinds of linter errors in the cookie cutter directory. So I had to create a manifest.in file to force those files to be included. But the reason pop create wasn't working from PyPy is because I was including first project name, and then I had fixed it to rootster, but then I was just doing include. Ugh, it was a lot of messing around with different formats for the manifest until I finally learned that what I wanted to do was graft a directory pattern. So graft includes everything underneath the directory pattern directly after it. Include everything under pop create slash star slash cookie cutter rootster. So this was the magic sauce that I needed to make pop create work with PyPy. Yes, Derek says he needs to update the docs. Everything that references pop seed should now reference pop create. I agree, and maybe while we're at it, we should put a deprecation notice inside of pop to say that we need to use pop create. And I'll do that right now before I forget. Oh, I also fixed also it was a long night. Like I was up until 6 in the morning. Like the sun came up and I was like, oh, I should probably go to bed and get a nap before the next meeting. Let's see. Oh, I already talked about what was going on with Loop. So we released a pop 16.4. Let me just open it up in pop over here. Oh, look, we're already on pop. Can I look at my last merge request? How do I do that easily here? GitLab. That was when I did the version bug. Passing pre. And one more parent. I'm sorry. Me clicking through things. Okay. So this is really all that was version 16.4 of POP, was adding and to the mock hub. So this makes it so a paradigm we would see in POP projects is you would often say, let's see, we have a function on the hub, and someone would say getAdder hub myref.func, and then call that function. So this is the way you did things before POP version 16. And so we changed that to be hub myref.func. There. So the new way in POP 16 was easier to understand. You have this inline get attribute with get item, with overriding get atom. Yeah, and this is confusing to read, and sometimes we were doing like multiple of these get adders in a row. So we switched to this method, but it didn't work on the loader, it only worked on subs. So this actually wouldn't have worked before POP 16.4, even though it would have been intended to work. And also if you had any code that used this and then you had a unit test that used the mock hub wasn't able to make use of this feature. So POP 16.4, we fixed that. You can use get items so that you don't have any messy get adders, which is a Python construct that was abused a lot in Popland anyway. So I'm hoping that you don't see any of these confusing getAdder functions all over the place anymore, and instead we can use this cleaner attribute getting. So anyway, that's my plug for POP 16.4. Cool. Oh, merge request on the left-hand path. Yeah, so that's the changes to POP. Wow, that's been a lot of changes since the last time we've been on here. So what I wanted to look at today, is getting back to POP create item. So the first thing I did in POP create item was I did that grafting trick because before I forget, because once you get this manifest.in file, once you get it right, you don't have to touch it ever again. And so I don't want to have to try and relearn all of that information when I get to releasing POP create item on PyPy. So that's where this came from. See where we left. Taco Cloud, OpenAPI. I also did something interesting. So based on one of the followers' suggestions, we now have JSONet as the parser for POP create item cloud spec. So when you give me a cloud spec like this, you can now have comments in it. You can even have C-style comments, block comments. That's some of what you get with JSONet. Look at JSONet. Quick. I think the pun was meant to be JSONet, like you're composing music. Or is it supposed to be JSONnet? I don't know. Someone tell me it. Yeah, something back here said JSON.net. But maybe that's something completely different. I don't know. It's a pun. I like calling it JSONet because I like the implication that it has music. So POP create has been updated to reflect the new improvements to POP in a new project. Does new projects reflect improvements? Yes. Yes, Pop Create used the latest additions to Pop. Pop. No. Let me just see where I'm using a good item in Pop Create. Oh, I ended up not using it. Yeah, I used it right here. That new feature. One, because this is gonna end up turning into hub my project.init.cli, this cookie cutter template, and it's gonna work exactly the same as doing hub my project.init.cli. So these two calls are equivalent, but this doesn't give me red lines in my cookie cutter template. So that's the only reason why I was doing this. Even though that wasn't the motive for the creation of this this feature. So yes, new projects are expected to be using the latest version of Pop. So yeah, JSON it. Oh yeah, we were looking at that. So it gives us a couple features. We can have comments. We can have basic logic inside of a JSON file now. We can have variables, and let's see, that's just for starters. So yeah, when you give me your cloud spec, if you want to include comments in this, if you want to include some basic functions, please do. If you want to just pass me a raw JSON, it's okay. Valid JSON is also valid JSON. So it just adds more features if you want them. So that was one of the things that was added. What else did I add to Pop Create item? Where did this get? I don't like this. It's a bug. Oh. Hold on. That's a bug in Pop Create that I might want to fix right now. And why are my tests failing? So, yeah, weird. All the tests are passing on gitlab.com, saltstack, pop 38. All the tests are passing. Like this is unprecedented for Pop Create. So that was also a joint effort, me and Derek. A lot of nighttime hours dedicated to making the test green. So that my tests aren't passing locally, but are passing on GitLab, that worries me. So that was another thing. Yeah, a lot has happened since we last streamed 2 days ago. Is it the virtual environment I'm using? Oh, I know what it is. Because I tweaked the manifest this manifest.in, I needed to pip install my pop create directory. I needed to re-add it to my environment because it messed with things. Yeah. So after tweaking, every time I mess with this manifest.in, I've got to pip install my -e on my current directory again. Forgot about that. I saw it a dozen times, so whew. We're good. Tests are passing locally. All is good and green in the world. Alright, back just a second. Alright, we're back. Whew. Been me for a minute. I've actually got a lot of people watching today. Thank you everyone for participating. I think I tapped an autofocus button on my camera, and now it's like really zoomed in on my chin. Wow. How do I undo whatever I just did? I'll just sit back in my chair. Whoops. Okay. So I actually haven't gotten to pop create item because there are so many other things going on. So actually, that's not true. We have this cloud spec format, and that's, I think we looked at it Wednesday, and we talked a little bit about the request format, which I think is the most tricky thing about the whole cloud spec stuff, and then all the other things that are expected from a cloud spec. And we added the ability to, there's a cloud spec command. You can say cloud spec. Cloud spec validates cloud spec sample.json it. And it will validate that file for me. So I have the same thing over. Clickable button. And then it spits out everything that it understood from that JSON file for you. So if you had any logic and you're like, if you had any logic in this file and you want to see what it turns into, you can use cloud spec validate that. So just when you pip install pop create item, you get access to the cloud spec command. I don't think that's the best name for it. If you want to call this anything besides cloud spec, maybe item something, item cloud even, I don't know. That's just the name I gave it right now. Naming things is really hard. So if you have a better idea, I'm happy to take it. But yeah, it's able to validate this file. And so even if I have a comment in it, I can verify that ignored. If I have something that isn't allowed in it, this will apparently not catch that one. See. Do its syntax error. Yeah, catches it. Yeah, so that's Cloud Spec Validate. So now that we have it, now that we have a specification that's predictable, where we're at with pop create item is I need to go from an OpenAPI 3 spec to this object. And then once we've gone from OpenAPI 3 to this, I need to go from this to actually generating execution modules, tests, possibly the stubs for state files. A lot of the state file logic will need to be written by humans, but there's also a lot of it that could be automated. For the most part, I could put instructions for what to do and get some basic code in there, and then all the state files, and then raise a not implemented error and say, hey, we need some logic here. Human needs this. Actually, we'll get there later. And I actually want to test this request method format. I think this should, no, this isn't. I tried to have these be JSON as well, but this is actually Jinja, and it was confusing me for a little bit, the difference for some reason. Maybe because it was so late at night when I was first looking at it. Yeah, Jinja and JSON are not the same, and I went down a whole rabbit hole of creating a Jinja. You can extend Jinja with your own plugins. You can add pre-parsers to Jinja. It's something that Jinja already supports, and Cookie Cutter will add Jinja extensions by default. And so I tried really hard to get some Jinja extensions, but in the end, it just was a rabbit hole not worth exploring a whole lot. I was hoping to get my Python syntax errors out, which would mean, I don't know, putting some complicated nonsense like I had before. That would be able to be used as a namespace rather than Jinja, and then replacing that in the Jinja pre-parser. It was a mess. I didn't like it. In the end, I'm still waiting on something that can get rid of all of my red squiggly lines from all of my cookie cutter templates. I use the latest pop features to get rid of some of the red lines. What's something I can open that really gives me red squiggles? Probably this one. Yeah, red squiggles. If I can, yeah, if anyone has any suggestions for how I can have PyCharm and any linter really ignore all of Cookie Cutter's syntax errors, or even better, if I can have these syntax errors not be syntax errors and let the linter run on our templates, that would be awesome. But I'm at a loss for how to lint or how to blacken our Cookie Cutter templates. And yeah, any advice, any suggestions, I'm more than happy to take those. Okay, let's look at OpenAPI 3 spec. Where we're at. Validated. Build a create Taco Cloud. Um, Here we go. And the OpenAPI 3 spec, cloud spec. Here we go. I was doing things with license, but it ended up being such a problematic word because apparently license is a keyword in Python. And I wasn't actually using it for anything. So I was like, I'd rather just delete license out of that. Okay. Something else to get out of here. Hmm. Oh, that ends up actually going. Pretty sure. Issue opened with black regarding Ginger Temple. Wow, that was some nice digging. Hmm. I wonder if anyone has a pull request for that. Ninja. Nope. No one's done it yet. Interesting that you found that there in I should sign in to Git. Actually, I haven't signed in on over here. I should one up this. Oh, wow, thank you. I will look at that. And yeah, ready to go. June 28th, 2020. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's gotten any love in a long time, this issue. Maybe they will. None. Author, none. Author email, none. Hold on, that's not right. Why is my author email not author? Hmm? It should have done this. It did that. Sanity check. Yep, there's me. Okay, so when is it getting overridden? Is this logic working backwards from what it should be doing? Don't overwrite any values. Hmm. Yeah, that's a bug. Hmm. Better. Yeah, that works. There. Fixed. Oh. Okay. We're good. Um. Oh, I didn't actually change that. And CTX was happening in pop create item. My bad. Never mind. Right, yeah. CTX author. It's happening. There. Now it's happening. Way too long. Okay, now we're done with pop create. You know what? No, we're not. I want pop create to work out of the box without any of the bugs. So I think that justifies a point release. So the author is correct. First time. Okay. Now we're done. Pop create. As soon as these tests run out, PyPy. Push to get and PyPy. Yes. Okay. Now that bug doesn't exist on the version of pop create you get from PyPy. Okay. Well. Not quite the same servers. Skip that one for now. Okay. Now we need to create some plugins. So the plugins, based on the cloud spec format, be arbitrarily created and will totally not tweak at all. Plugin looks like this. It is my cloud name .sub.sub.plugin name. And then it has the imports I need, virtual imports, any funky aliases, virtual names, doc function. Cool. So I feel like it would be very irresponsible to do this as a one-liner. Create a function. Hub.ph.open API 3. No, I don't need to do it on the hub. Why? Get plugins. API. F get plugin. API. Gotten so used to doing all this typing. Okay. I won't keep this doc string here. I just want it here as a reference. So I want to turn my cloud API into plugins. And in my old init over here, I determined that tags was probably the best way to go with for that. So if we look at the OpenAPI 3 spec, this is where things are going to get a little bit tricky. So how does something like this pet store API, that's the example, how does this turn into an execution module? Where does it show up on the hub? So the idea was the /pets Like this path up here, the last thing in it is the plugin, and the tags are all subs that lead up to that plugin. If we look at one of the VMware API references, let's look up something. Oh, I'm not super familiar with the VMware API. What's something that I know? Where is VMC? Oh, that's VMC NSX policy. Where's... Ooh. What is VMC? That's not what I'm looking for either. I need a good API from here. Not, I mean, like, I need an API that is... Sorry. I mean, I need an API that looks like OpenAPI 3 or Swagger. That's what I mean. Here we go. Here's the VMware API that's fire. Okay, so here is another sample of a path that I could get /CAP, CSP, /gateway, AM, API, auth, token, public key. This is a very long path. I still kind of want to take just the last one and say, this is the plugin. The plugin would be called token public key. And this is tags of authentication controller. So I would put this one on the hub as hub.csp, because CSP is the name of the cloud, or the name of the resource I'm wrapping in this case. Hub.csp.authentication controller dot token public key dot get. So that's what I would turn this one into. So I don't think I should split this whole path, because I don't want to turn this... I don't think this whole path is useful as I think the tags are better. A better place to go to generate my subs. Yeah, group controller dot groups dot search, or group controller dot search is what this would turn. One would turn into service definition controller dot definitions. Dot, and for my function dot get. There's only a... So this is my thought of the OpenAPI spec, and someone can let me know if this sounds like a bad idea. I want these to be subs. Any of these tags, because the tags is a list, it's ordered, it tells you, the convention is that it gives you a hierarchy of kind of what this belongs to. And so I think that I think I want to use tags to generate what subs should be. So if my thought is, if is that a reliable way to do this? I don't think it changes a whole lot. So looking at this link that Derek just sent, this is... Let's look at what tags are used for, according to OpenAPI. Adds metadata to a single tag that is used as an operation object. It's not mandatory to have a tag object per tag. Oh, that's not what I was looking for. Maybe that is what I was looking for. A list of tags used by the specification with additional metadata. The order of the tags can be used to reflect on their order by the parsing tool. Not all tags that are used by the operation object must be declared. The tags that are not declared may be organized randomly or based on the tool's logic. Each tag in the list must be unique. So it's a set. So it says here that the order of the tags can be used to reflect on the order by the parsing tools. I'm making a parsing tool. They may be organized randomly or based on the tool's logic. I'm gonna say let's... I don't know. Is it okay for me to make an executive decision and say, if you're gonna make a cloud out of an OpenAPI 3 spec, its tags have got to be sensical? Or I could just sort the tags, but then that wouldn't make sense. Like if you did AWS EC2.instance, that one would work. But like if you had if the tags, AWS doesn't use an OpenAPI 3, but if your tags, if the order makes sense, and then you sort it, and now it doesn't make sense, but it works every time. Ugh. I'm probably making this a little more complicated than it needs to be. I'm going to assert that the tags, they are logical, they make sense, they are how things should be organized. I think in this case then, I would expect the person handing me an OpenAPI spec, they should sanitize or pre-process their own API spec to put those tags in a proper order. It may be random, but I don't think that's my fault. Yeah. For now, let's use the tags and let's expect them to be not random. And when we come across an API that has randomly placed tags, then cross that bridge when we get there. And maybe it'll just so happen to be that every cloud that uses OpenAPI 3 Beckett stuff won't be random. Maybe that and people only use OpenAPI 3 with randomly placed tags for, I don't know, one-off projects that aren't related to cloud. Let's just assume that for now. Because I really just want to get headway on this and have it work for VMware stuff. Which if VMware stuff doesn't follow the OpenAPI 3 spec and has things randomly placed, I can talk to the people that wrote the spec and say, hey, can we have these be ordered? And then have it be ordered. So if our main target is VMware stuff, then those are APIs that we have the ability to affect change. So I'm going to say that we can assume that they're ordered. It shouldn't make a difference if they're random. It just might mean that I'm creating subs in a random order. So your hub.ec2.instance.create could end up being hub.aws.instance.ec2.create. We could get some paths that don't make sense. But as long as it's consistent, I guess, every time that they run the API. As long as the cloud spec, like, as long as it's not random in the sense that it's the API frequently changes, whoever's generating their API Like we just have modules disappearing and appearing in different places. That would be bad. But I think they mean that it's random, as in it doesn't necessarily need to be ordered if the person who wrote the API, Open API 3 spec, doesn't have any use for them. So I think the conclusion here is that we don't need to worry about it. Whether the order matters or doesn't matter to us. We can use the tags to generate and to assume what subpaths should be created. Okay. So I want you to parse all of the paths. When I'm creating the plugin, let's pass the path. What object? Here, I'm just gonna. Okay. Let's see. Over here, when I was interacting with paths, or hmm. Hmm. Okay. So here's what I did with that name and plugin name is I wanted to take this, turn it into pets. What do I do about things with curly brackets? Because this clearly belongs in the same directory as this. And find by status is clearly a function that belongs to. My foolproof plan for getting a plugin name did not work well at all. Um, you know what? I just want to debug right here and poke at this object. Have a get function, post put. All those don't have something with it. Tags have parameters. Exists in the get. Tags. Parameters. Let me look at this VMware API again. Organization users controller. So if that's my tag, this is my, maybe this is my plugin. I use the very last tag, and if there's only one, then that's my plugin. And I'm thinking of this differently now that I was thinking the auto-generative code of Bodacore item AWS, the project should be called item AWS auto Bodacore. In case there would be an item AWS auto Bodo 3 instead, or I like item AWS auto. I like this one better. Anyone else have any opinion on there for the auto for Derek's question? Auto-generated modules. What should it be called? What should they be called? Okay. So plugin name is not going to come from this. We're going to say path dot. I had some logic over here. Thought I did. I did. Sound that I have. I didn't like this. Let me do a debug again on path object. Raw element.get. Okay, this does the same thing, but if there happens to be more functions, so I can see my get, post, delete, and also a get by status, and also we're getting there. Okay. So this is the name of my function now. It will be called get. Let's look at these tags now. Now look at func.tags. Pets. Nice. Okay. So now if no, hold on. Hmm? I could simply. Can you not pop with the default list? Never mind. Didn't need this logic. Yeah, so now I have my subs and I have my final plugin. Which in this case, for the pet store, I don't have any subs. And actually, for any of these ones where I only have a single tag, I wonder if there's ever a tag. There's ever multiple tags in any of this. Which it's fine if they're not, because that means everything's just going to be in its own. It's going to be in CSP.principal user controller or CSP.user controller. Login controller. That's going to get tedious. Oh, but good thing it's an auto-generated function. Doing it from. So those tags for paths will determine how organized it gets. Probably really document. Yep. But first I need to get it working before I say how it works. Before I tell other people how it works. Alright. We're ending the stream just before 4 o'clock today, so we've got another 30 minutes. I think this is pretty functional so far. So before I had done this, I don't think actually I even need plugin in here. Oh, I do because I need to have init to be the default. So now I need to say ret and do I have my cloud name at this? I do. Let me pass my CTX in right here. Function. Equals the rest of the plugin information. Yes, we have something. So let's see what we need. We need, at this point, we need to inspect this again, what it has for us. Oh, it's called cloud. Wait, no? Oh, I've determined cloud name down here. And list them at the top of my. But after I find out what the. Now I can run. Go to that path object. What else do we have in it that we might need? We want to know if there's any imports. We need to know the functions. That's the next thing. I have this get. So this one's going to be a little bit tricky. So because we're going to have multiple functions, because the paths are listed one at a time, and so we just need to have the functions right here. Yeah. So if this is the first time, functions, and also specify that this is where we add all that other stuff. We shouldn't need imports or virtual imports. Let's say, and let's actually not worry about any of that stuff yet. Let's just worry about functions. Ooh, this is the tricky one. Ooh, I want to debug this func object. How do I decide what the function name is? Let's see. So we know that the path is /pets, get pets, get. So we could call it get pets. But if I continue and we look at that function again for the next thing, it's create a pet and it's post. What's a good way to dynamically grab that what this function to be named based on this information? I guess it technically could be based on this information too. We can't rely on this create a pet being in there because, like up here in the VMware spec, when we're looking at paths, they don't have spaces. Let's see, tag, summary, description. Ooh, all of these will be great for functions. Parameters. I think this is kind of belonging in its own function now. So let's just say ref functions. Func name, func data equals get function based on the path and the func. What's the link to that VMware spec? Not sure if this is publicly available. But you'll be able to see. Nice. I don't want to be printing out my code. How do I run my validate on this? Just print cloud spec. I should be able to run the validate. Cloud spec init. That's CLI. Create item cloud spec init. There. I can do this right now. Hard code this. Okay. Init is missing one required doc. Oh, it's from the plugin spec. Oopsie. There. Now I am validating. I can even comment out these for now. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so looking at that, would you just split the path up for the execute? No, the way that I'm looking at splitting that right now, I'll tell you where I'm going with this. I'll paste it here and here. Exec project. Slash. It'd be like that. Because I think that whole path would get tedious. And so I'm just going to put it on the tags. And the other reason I couldn't do it with the path, actually, yes, that's where the tags come in that I'm trying to figure out. The reason I can't use the path is because sometimes the path contains parameters. And so these don't make sense as a sub. And these different paths, sometimes there's different paths, but they belong to the same tag. Like even if we look at the pet store example, these all have the same tag, pets. Which makes it clear, I think, that they all belong in the same plugin, even though these are all different functions. So I think tags is and even though some of these have different paths, like this is /pets, get pets, /pets, create a pet, /pets, pet ID, delete a pet, clearly it would belong in the same plugin. And the only way we know that is from the tags. Rather than trying to a janky way of parsing this path and ignoring things that have parameters. Oh, that gives me a headache. So yeah, it'll be based on the tags. And here we go. Here's our building spec. This is the part, honestly, I've been doing, to be honest with you all, I've been doing everything else because I've been I've been dreading this part because creating the cloud spec from the OpenAPI 3 spec and trying to make sense of an OpenAPI 3 spec and parsing it in a way that made any sense. This has been something my mind has been spinning on in the background for a long time. So it's exciting to finally be like breaking through the ice and seeing this is actually coming together. I like it. Look at this. I got my plugins, taco.pets. Now, the tricky part that I'm having trouble with now. How do I determine my function name of creating a pet? Create a pet would be awesome. Like if this description is here, I would prefer this becomes the function name. Yeah, I would love for this to be the function name. Delete a pet. But we can't rely on that being there. Like when you were looking at the VMware API example, wherever it went. Oh, hey, look at all those tags. Name. Look, here's an example of one that has a post and a get. Summary, and it has a description. Parameters, I will be using this to figure out what goes in the query, what goes in the data, what goes in everything. Parameters, we'll get to needing that. Responses, we'll use this to generate the annotation for the return type of the function. Check out this operation ID. I like that. Look, create VMC cloud account. Yeah, this operation ID, I like that. This is the name of the function. Does that exist in pets? Is this something I can rely on being in every... No, this is parameters. I have a description. Description is obviously the doc. I'm just gonna throw that in there real quick. Func dot description. That's a no-brainer. Look, now I have a doc string. Returns the info for a single pet. I will also need to throw in some examples for this. No, we'll throw in CLI examples when we parse the cloud spec. For now, let's just have it be this. How do we get the function name? Here we have this. We're already using the description. How about in the schema? Is there anything over here in the schema? Paths. No, schemas for the parameters. Okay, well, now it's important. What's the difference between these two things? Because this is Swagger. That's the difference. This is Swagger. This is OpenAPI 3. Maybe for OpenAPI 3, this is where we get the function name, and when we parse Swagger, we get it from the operation name. What's the Swagger API look like? It's optional. I'm thinking of saying it's optional. If this is there, use this. Otherwise, just have it be the get. Or if that value... I really like the way VMware does it here, where we have the operation ID, because this is clearly the name of the thing. But this is Swagger. I wish I had... Derek, can you help me find an OpenAPI 3 spec within VMware's APIs? I just want something VMware-ish that is OpenAPI 3. Does it make sense to use path plus operation? Some combination of the path and the operation. The path can have all kinds of parameters inside of it. So that's why I don't want to use anything inside of the path. Nice. I'm going to pin this one. Here's an OpenAPI 3 from VMware. We have paths. See here we have a get authentication controller. What's the difference between the summary and the description? Yeah, this also has operation ID. I have an idea. So we'll worry about Swagger. I appreciate this. That's my tabs. I want to say I like the VMware Open Operation ID thing, and for something like this that doesn't have the Operation ID, is it sane to say, I expect your OpenAPI 3 spec to have an Operation ID? And description does look more verbose based on the example we saw here, where it was like the summary was the same thing, but with less information. So like if someone passed me the pet store API and there isn't an operation ID, should I just expect them to sanitize their own OpenAPI 3 spec? Or do I say, if there's an operation ID, that's it. Use the operation ID. If there's not an operation ID, then fall back on this if it's there. Certainly work for both. If there's an operation ID, I want to that first. The post dot operation ID. That's my go-to. VMware did good here. Func name equals func dot. Oh, it looks like it's part of the OpenAPI spec. Hold on. Does my OpenAPI 3 parser, will it just do this for the pets? Functions, oh no, it's none. That's nice. If not name. Or func dot. At this point, I want to analyze that func object again. I like the operation ID isn't a VMware specific thing. This is something that is part of the OpenAPI spec. So I really like that. That makes me even happier about it. Where else do they have this get pets? Where else does it show up in? Since without using the path, I'm not sure there's anything that's unique. Yeah. It's part of the path again. Which the pets example is the main example for thing. Let's just say, or the same thing that I did over here when I first played with this. My path at this point. No. Func dot. I'm struggle. What did that name look like? It looked like oh, that's the VMware one. That's the good one. Pet store. It looks like in after the first space. Two. Pets get pets. Oh. Nope, I got that back. Splicing is always check for me. Cool. Oh wow. Yeah, so I'm gonna say if there is a space in the path, then use that. So now I have get pet, create a pet, delete pet, find by status, get pet. I have doc strings for all of these functions. I think this works as a backup. And if we need a further backup, if there isn't a space either, we can do that. I don't know, if not func name, raise some error. Sure, attribute error. There. So we've done it from the pets example, and we're doing it the way of the operation ID, which is the default. Cool. So we figured out the function name. Thank you everyone for participating, and I'll figure this out. Yeah, Swagger and OpenAPI 3, they're probably similar enough that that for my purposes, we could get away with using the same parsher for both, but yeah. I think this was a lot of progress today. We're able to parse the pets API and really get some get some function names out of it. Get some organization that makes a lot of sense. This looks really good. And so then, in arg override, I think at some point too, we need a, what do you mean an arg override? Like I could have it be based on, is what you mean? Like if it's get pets, like have it be based on this? The problem with that is that there's multiple, for the same path, they could have multiple get functions. Like here they have /pets find by status. So we could come up with a way to derive it from the path. For now, for now, I'm gonna say it's okay if it's based on yeah, I'll leave a note here. Maybe a fallback based on the path and method, but for now I'm gonna say they're out of luck. Oh, let them choose how to parse the spec. That's a possibility as well, is have a flag somewhere that says, by the way, my function names are coming from my operation ID. That's a good possibility too. Like if they don't give us a flag, then start making assumptions. And then just start guessing and checking until we find something that works based on the OpenAPI 3 spec that they give us. Another possibility, just if their OpenAPI 3 spec isn't up to par, expect them to do some pre-processing on it. There's a lot more thinking to do about this. I think this is a great start. And for now, this works with the pets example. It works with VMware stuff because VMware always added the operation ID. I think we'll run with this for now and revisit this after we've generated execution logic for all of VMware stuff. So this is something we'll come back to, maybe in a month or two. But I really appreciate everyone's thinking through it and participating and talking through it. I've got to go because it's 4, and yeah, there's been a lot of really great progress. It's a great Friday. We'll revisit on Monday. I'm gonna try and make headway on this on the weekend, and once I get the OpenAPI 3 specs, because really, my bottom line is I really want to get an OpenAPI 3 spec parsed so that I can start doing things with the Cloud API spec. Because that way Derek's not stuck on that for generating execution modules from the Bodo core. I really want the cloud spec to be armed and operational and not need any more messing with. And then we can go through adding features and tweaking OpenAPI, the OpenAPI 3 parser so that it's working ideally. This is a great start. Thank you everyone so much for your participation today and for all of your help. And I will see you Monday.